Welcome to Downloadable Content. We are Alex.
And SJ Herschel plus Jordan as a guest with us today. We are going to be discussing Granblue Fantasy Relink.
Let's
Let's
do
get
it.
right into
Sorry. Forgot about that.
it. Oh, you're good. That's
Cool.
Herschel. Herschel. Herschel.
Welcome back, everybody. How are we doing today?
Good.
Good.
Hungry, but good.
Definitely hungry.
Haven't
How are
eaten
you
dinner
doing?
yet?
No.
No.
Oh, dang.
It's like that awkward time, especially since like Jordan was coming over and stuff.
Hmm.
Like I don't want to be eating dinner, like as he's getting here and stuff right after work. So I was like, I'll just eat after.
Just chomping on a hot dog in front of me and be like, how's
Yeah,
your day going?
yeah.
Man, I'm hungry.
Nice.
What did you
No,
eat for dinner?
yeah. Liv had baked potatoes ready when I got home, so I ate a quick loaded potato.
Mm.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
With the sour
Yeah.
cream and the cheese and all of that.
And chili. Yep.
Oh, chili.
Oh,
Yeah.
chili on there. That's good. Yeah,
Hmm.
baked potatoes, it can be really good or it can be like just sapping all of the moisture out of your entire mouth. So you got to
Right.
do it the right way.
Right. That's why I
Uh,
go with the chili is so that I avoid uh that kind of stuff because I've definitely had that before, and especially when it's
mm-hmm.
like not like a side to your entree, but like it is like the main, course
Yep.
and stuff. You really gotta nail it for
Yep.
sure.
Agreed.
But
Well,
but
anyhow, yeah.
folks, now that you've listened to us talk about dinner for a second, I don't believe we have any new questions. I'm
Nope.
checking our Discord right now, but I think we're all caught up there, which
Mm-hmm.
means we can move into our main topic for today. Um, so actually, I'm gonna have you repeat the name of the game because I still am not entirely sure that I would remember the full
I,
name.
I got you, man. I got you. So it is Granblue Fantasy colon Relink. Granblue is not Grand Blue. It's without a D. Like Gran Blue, one word, Fantasy colon Relink.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll just put a little text box there for you so you can see, bam, that's the name of this game for you. But yeah, we're gonna be talking about that today. I think it's been a while since we've kind of done one of these episodes where we have one of us and a guest here who have played the game and talk about it, and the other person kind of just poses questions to you all or to you two to
Mm-hmm.
kind of answer. But that's what we're going with today. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
we're just gonna jump right in. And so if we want to start, because well, I've heard about this game from you, SJ. Um, I haven't heard about it or seen it like anywhere else. So I wonder how many of our listeners are kind of in a similar boat where they just might not exactly know what it is. So if you two want to start just by kind of giving us an overview of what the game's like.
Okay. Um, I'll I'll give a quick rundown, Jordan, and you can kind of fill in
Yeah.
if you notice any gaps. Yeah, to be fair, I haven't spoken with anybody that recognized the name of this game. Nobody knows it. It came out February of last year, but I think it just flew under many people's radars, and especially if you're someone that's not familiar with the Granblue Fantasy franchise, you're not gonna know it. I didn't know about this game until Jordan told me about it.
Hmm.
Um, basically, so for those of you that listen to our episode on Tales of Arise, there are a lot of similarities from that in the sense that it's an action JRPG, so non-turn based and team based. So you are fighting in a team of four, and you are, like that game, able to control whichever character you want. Except you kind of have more freedom of character choice in this game because there's a larger number. There's just a bigger pool of characters to choose from. And there's a whole skill tree kind of thing. Different items that you equip to your character to make them stronger, weapons to farm for and upgrade and whatnot. And you're fighting, common enemies, bosses. Um, but the main bulk of the game is the end game. So it only takes about, I don't know, 15, 20 hours max to get through the campaign. And then you're in the end game. But at that point, the game really opens up, and
Hmm.
that's really the bulk of your time is going to be spent there. So, in short, it's a action JRPG anime style combat game.
I would almost consider it kind of like a an arena battler. Does that sound right?
Um, I guess it depends on your definition of arena battle. When I think about arena battle, I think like, you know, um the Naruto Shippuden Storm series where it's like a fighting game but in an
Oh, okay.
arena.
Yeah.
So it's not like that, but
It's like a co-op. Yeah, it's like a single player or co-op. You're placed in an arena, usually with like mini bosses and a boss or some common enemies, and then they have attack patterns that you kind of have to memorize and figure out how to defeat the boss, kind of like a puzzle. So usually like at the later levels of the game, you're gonna go up against some boss you don't recognize, and they're gonna just completely annihilate you at first, but the more you play them, the better you get at fighting against them. And it's kind of satisfying to figure out how to beat the boss.
I've never personally been a big Monster Hunter guy, but I have heard of comparisons
Hmm.
between this game and Monster Hunter in that sense. Yeah.
Okay. And so I guess to kind of get into our first deeper question, with it being a JRPG, is it an RPG where um like characters have set archetypes, or is it you're creating your own character and you're kind of able to build it up the way that you want? What does it look like on that front?
You want to take that one, Jordan?
Yeah, so you don't really make your own character.
Mhm.
You start off as an unnamed character, either a boy or a girl, and that's about all the character customization you get. And then that your main character has a selection of skills, and you can kind of build them in different ways based on based on like the weapons you equip and the skills that you acquire. The
Okay.
skills being called, what were they called again?
I think they're just called
They're just
skills.
called skills?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they're called skills. So like you can build kind of a tanky person if you put like a lot of health skills on your character. Or you can put a lot of attack damage on your character and make him more of an attacker, or you can do other things to make them more of a support character. But every single character has kind of specialties that they excel at, and that's usually what you want to lean towards.
Okay. And so like within that, what type I feel like when I play games like that, right, I tend to have a certain type of character that I tend to play as more often than not. What types of archetypes were you guys using throughout your playthroughs? Or since the end game's so extensive, is it something where you've kind of experimented afterwards as well and kind of, changed things up to test out other stuff?
Yeah, so Um, Kind of to add to what Jordan was saying a little bit. So, each character has their set normal like combo moves that they can execute, with your X and Y buttons. And those really can't be changed. Um, as you level up the character, certain moves might get added to that, but that's something that's like specific to every character. And that normal attack combo that each character has or combos are every single one of them is like really unique in playstyle and mechanic to each character. Um, and what you usually want to do is choose the kind of skills that cater best to each character's strengths. Though there is some variance to how you want to approach that. If you might have skills that are um, long range attacks, right? And you might have long range attacks on um, in your face up and close no characters, or you might have it on healers. So like you can kind of pick and choose those skills to kind of mold that character into how you want. But like what Jordan was saying, you kind of want to cater to the strengths of that character to really like maximize your DPS, I guess, damage per second. Um, the kind of characters that are in there are you have like your typical attacker person. Like the main character, for example, he's kind of an all-rounder. You can he's got healing stuff, he's got attacking stuff, he's got support, buffing characters stuff. You'll have ones where it's like it buffs your team's defense by 50% or whatever, or those kinds of mechanics. And then every other character, for the most part, excel in certain skills. So there's one character I'm thinking of, for example, where she's kind of like a mid-range damage dealer, but she's really good at like supporting the rest of the party. So she'll buff your attack and defense, and then there's also characters that debuff the enemy, which can be pretty handy as well. And um and there's ones that is there's that one like mage girl. She's really good at she's primarily a support character. She can revive teammates and stuff like that, right? But what's interesting is that all of them really, if you build them the right way, they can deal a good amount of damage.
Yeah.
They're all endgame viable.
Mm-hmm.
And for a character to be endgame viable, you need to be able to like dish out a good amount of damage. So
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of this like balancing act of, okay, given your current skill level, how much healing skills and healing dedicated stuff can you sacrifice to up your damage output while still not dying? Um, and so most endgame builds end up being, for the most part, like damage dealing, across like all four characters, but maybe a couple of them might have some healing and support things just to make sure that your survivability is still good and stuff. But
Okay.
within that damage dealing, um, each character deals damage in a different way. Some might do it long range, some might do it up and close and all, up and up close and personal, I mean. And a lot of them do it in a different way with different mechanics. So like the buttons you press and the skills you go through are gonna be pretty different depending on the character that you choose to main and stuff.
Okay.
But it's cool because you
Okay.
can experiment. If you get bored with the character, you can start building another one, and it's great.
Yeah, I'd say SJ is the one who experiments, and I'm kind of a one-trick pony. I have my one character that I really enjoy, and he's kind of a glass cannon with support skills, like team support skills, and a lot of damage if timed well. But if he gets hit once, he is dead. So you've got to watch the enemy really carefully, and he's got like this skill that makes the team invincible for a certain amount of attacks, but it has a really long cooldown. So I might use that skill at certain moments during the boss battle that are really hard to like with like really difficult to dodge attacks.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And so, when it comes to kind of the co-op feature, right, and how you're able to play with your friends, does that mean that you guys mentioned that party size is four?
hmm
So when you're playing co-op, does that just mean that instead of having like does it, you're still limited to that group of four, right? That you have to kick one
hmm
of your computers out for the other person to play with you, right?
Yeah.
Mhm. How it
Okay.
works is whoever is hosting will start a party. So if I'm hosting, for example, it'll be me and then three CPUs that are just on my team. Um, and then by the way, the AI in this game is really good.
Yeah, very
Like
good.
Mm,
they are competent, they know the mechanics of the bosses and stuff. So
mm,
it's like if you're doing well, like they're gonna do well, like they will never really drag your feet. And that's actually a really good thing about this game is that the AI is actually good. So like you don't need a full, four people to
Right.
tackle a lot of end game content. But anyway, um, and then once Jordan, so after I have my lobby set up, Jordan can hop in and join, and then it'll just boot the CPU that's like last on the list or whatever. So it'll be me, Jordan, and then two of my CPU characters, and then I can swap them out however I want to compose the team. Yeah,
okay. And it's like theoretically, like if there were more people, right, you guys would be able to play up to four, but if you had a fifth person, like they just wouldn't be able to join the party.
right.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Um, that's kind of interesting, right? Because I feel like with a lot of these online co-op games, right, like, or I guess more so in like MMOs than others, so four is kind of a standard number. But I guess it would just kind of make sense to have room for more. But it sounds like four is like a pretty good size of party, right? For kind of how the game's designed, so that it's never too easy and still has room for that challenge as you're trying to kind of navigate these new bosses and figuring out um, how to take them down, right?
Yeah, the game is built around four in a party. Yeah, it would be like if you can have more than six Pokemon in a party, it kind of break the game.
Okay. No, that definitely makes sense. Okay. Now, music. What kind of vibes do we have on the music in this game?
Why'd you think, Jordan?
I think it rocks. I think the music is really good. Um, certain bosses have, like they'll have the point where you get to like half their health, and then the music will change once you get them down to half health, and then like the way the boss works will totally change, and it'll mix up its strategy, and then it might go into like some sort of rage mode or something like that, and then the music ramps up with it. So it's really cool, but I don't think there are any like memorable tracks that like get stuck in my head, except for maybe like
The towns.
the towns,
But
because you spend so much time in them.
yeah, yeah. I agree with everything Jordan said. Yeah, I like how the music ramps up as you go through the different phases of the boss and stuff, but it's not, it's not Xenoblade. It's
No.
not, it's good. It's good, serviceable. I have no complaints, but nothing I would really go out of my way to listen to when I'm not playing the game.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it on like a playlist and listen to it outside of the game or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Interesting.
I
But
would say Tales of Arise music is probably a little stronger. But that might also be because Tales of Arise is also more story focused and,
Yeah, definitely.
yeah.
okay. All right. Um, yeah. Okay. So moving kind of on to this other topic, right? We like to talk about, or I like to talk about, defining moments and things that really stand out and stay with you. So I'd love to hear from kind of each of you, like so far over your experience playing the game? Because obviously you guys still play it, semi regularly at least, and so far is walk us through kind of the moment that sticks out as the core memory of your experience playing the game to this point.
Do you have something on mind, Jordan?
A core memory,
Yeah, I'm trying to think. You meant like a
um,
cool gaming moment,
a
right?
cool gaming moment.
Sure.
Is that what you're
Yeah.
looking for, kind of?
Yeah.
Um, well, there was that boss that we finally figured out. So there was this boss where
Yeah.
you're on an airship and it's a dragon that's firing like fireballs and stuff at your airship, and your airship has cannons on it. And we couldn't figure out for the longest time that the boss was spawning these, so it was spawning these little like crystals in the air that you have to jump on a turret and start firing at. We
Hmm.
couldn't figure out why we weren't doing, or why we were destroying both crystals, because there was like two on one side of the ship, and we'd both destroy each of our crystals, and then if you don't destroy all the crystals, then the boss becomes a much harder.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until we figured out that, oh, the crystals don't just spawn next to the dragon, they spawn on the other side of the ship too. So you've got to turn around, and then you've got to have one person shooting at the crystals on one side of the ship, and then the other person has to get on the turrets on the other side of the ship and shoot down those crystals as well. So there weren't two crystals we needed to shoot down, there were four of them. And once we figured that out, then we were able to be like, oh, we got to destroy all four crystals. We didn't know there were more of them. And that was like a cool point, especially because we didn't actually like do it perfectly, but we were
Right.
still able to beat the boss.
Right.
Like that was really cool.
That is like the main thing with this game is like the satisfaction of, you know, once your character is strong enough, because you put resources into these characters, right? There's these, the skill tree, they're called masteries that you go through, you unlock them, and um you're upgrading these different items to put on the characters and the weapons and all that stuff. And once you finally get to the point where, you find that once you've mastered the character, its mechanics, and it's strong enough physically, and then also you've figured out the mechanics of each boss, because they are all pretty unique. Um, that satisfaction of finally beating that boss is like pretty awesome.
Hmm.
And then, once you run it back over and over and over, it becomes more and more easy. Not necessarily because your character is getting stronger and stronger, but
Because
as you just master the boss, right? You figure
yeah,
out its
you're getting better at
mechanics.
fighting the boss.
And then I've had times when, like, I'd just be grinding for gear or whatever, and I'm like hardly getting touch because I'm just dodging and blocking everything because I know exactly what it's gonna do. I know the rotations, I know what to do. Um, it's a very satisfying cycle, and there's almost always something harder to look forward to.
Hmm.
So that gameplay cycle, that loop, I guess,
Yeah,
was
it's
really
the
fun.
gameplay loop. It's really good.
Yeah.
Nice. No,
But I
I
wouldn't
mean,
say like as opposed to a lot of games, that are more story oriented and stuff. Because this game has a story too, but it's serviceable, but it's not the highlight of the game. The highlight of the game is the gameplay. Um, so, there really isn't like a super emotional, awesome end of the game emotional moment like Tears of the Kingdom or anything like that, but it's more of the gratification of like overcoming these hard bosses really is kind of what does it for me.
Hmm. Definitely.
yeah, no, but I think that makes a lot of sense and definitely kind of outlines, um, yeah, where that satisfaction comes from. Um, and then not to move into like a negative lens, but looking to potential ways that the game could have been potentially improved upon. Like what is a change or something that you guys would have liked to seen that might have elevated the experience even further for you?
You want to start or me?
Hmm. Go for it.
All right. So one thing, I have played MMOs. I played World of Warcraft when it first came out, which was a really long time ago, and I played it for a really long time. I've tried Elder Scrolls Online. I've played a good bit of Final Fantasy 14. I play MMOs occasionally, and the one thing that this game didn't really have that I think MMOs do better is that they MMOs have kind of like a dungeon, where you have to go through the dungeon and there are enemies scattered throughout the dungeon. You've got to find your way through it. Sometimes there are puzzles along the way that you can figure out to get treasure, and then there's a big boss battle at the end of the dungeon, and it feels like one cohesive segment that is it's gratifying getting to the boss, then it's gratifying to actually defeat the boss. And there are usually checkpoints along the way. Once you get to the boss, then you're at the boss. If you die or your party wipes, then you start back at the beginning of the boss, with full health and stuff. But that's kind of what I was hoping this game would have more of based on the start of the story. Because the start of the story has you like walking around kind of a semi-open world and then getting to the end and having a boss fight. But then once you're at the end game, there's a lot less of that, and it turns more into you spawn in an arena, there's a boss or with a couple mini bosses, and then you fight it out and figure out their behaviors, and then you defeat the challenge. It doesn't feel like a dungeon, and there are no like raids or anything in this game. It's literally just you spawn into an arena, defeat the boss, and then go about your way. So I wish there was more of like a dungeony kind of raidy feel to it. Yeah, that would be my area of complaint.
Yeah, I think I've never really yeah, I don't think I've ever really played many MMOs, if any at all. But when Jordan mentioned that to me when we were talking the other day, I was like, that would be fun. It would be cool. Because the the main thing that keeps you coming back to this game, obviously in the end game, is like getting your character stronger so that you can beat the harder missions and earn better loot, and then building other characters so that you can have fun with them and to do the same with those characters. But like it is very much like you go to the quest counter, you accept the quest, and then you get spawned into an arena and then everything that Jordan just said. So if there was more of a dungeon, where you're figuring things out, um, that would be a nice addition to just one additional layer of gameplay, I guess, that
Yeah.
would keep things pretty fresh. Yeah, I would agree with that. Um, Me personally, like this is my only gripe with it, but I also don't know how they would go about fixing it. I don't know if it needs to be changed, but like um there's really not a lot of reason. So like you have the quest counter that I mentioned. That's where you get the side quests, where you get, where you fly off to these distant places to beat these enemies and bosses, right? That's like a totally separate thing from the main campaign that you play through. Um, but the thing is, you don't really have a lot of there's not really a good reason to go after the quests before you finish the campaign. Um, it's most optimal to finish the campaign first and then tackle all the quests,
Hmm.
just based on how the game is built. Because there's really no reason to grind out the easier level quests because well you're going to be wasting your time. You should just finish the campaign first and then grind out the harder quests so that you get the better loot. So that also meant that Jordan and I pretty much like finished the campaign on our own
Hmm.
first because you can't do the campaign co-op. And then once we were both done with the campaign, then we would team up and tackle the quests and all of the end game content together. So I guess now that I'm talking about it, I feel like a great solution to this would be let us play the campaign together.
Yeah, like as soon as you said that, I was like, why can't you just play the campaign together? I
Yeah,
mean, it still puts you in a party of four,
uh-huh.
and you still can choose any character you want. It gives you these little, what are called like gold merits or something, or character, the
The
character things.
yeah, the little tickets to
Yeah,
recruit the
they're like
characters.
little character tickets. It gives you character tickets throughout the campaign, so you can purchase new characters and try them out. But you,
And you can totally like play 90% of the game without ever using the main character. There's only like a couple segments where he's actually required to be played,
right.
and that's like toward the beginning.
So I guess they could have just made it so whoever's hosting the game plays the main character in those segments.
Yeah, and even then that's only the very, very beginning. I mean, as soon as you get to chapter 4, you can recruit a new character or play as one of the characters in your existing team
Hmm.
and never touch the main character again. So like it wouldn't make any difference at all if we could play it together with whatever character we wanted. So
There's only
yeah,
like one or two other times where you have to play the main character
yeah, yeah,
in the end part of the story.
yeah. But then just make the host do that, and then
Yeah, just make the
it's no
host
big
do that.
deal. Yeah, that would have been way better.
Mhm.
That's my main
Okay.
complaint.
Especially
Okay.
if I want to get someone into the game, I have to be like, okay, this game is great and you'll have a ton of fun playing it and we'll love playing it together and it's going to be awesome. But you have to spend 15 hours first playing through the main story, which the main story is only serviceable. It's like wasn't great, but wasn't terrible.
It's all right.
It's all
It's
right.
not bad, but it's nothing to write home about.
Yeah, so yeah, you gotta do that first, but then we can play the game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that sounds like a little bit of a harder sell for sure, especially when, the purpose is to play it together, right? Like that's what you're building to. I
Yeah.
can see why, yeah, it would be why that would be, one of the things you'd want to change for sure.
When Jordan
Um,
first sorry, when Jordan
no, go
first
ahead.
like told me about this game, he's like, "Hey, I think you'd really like this game." And then we did the research, and I was like, "Okay, it looks like we need to put in, 15 to 20 hours to finish the campaign before it makes a lot of sense to do the co-op stuff.
Hmm.
Are we both ready to commit to this?" And he's like, "Yes, I am." And I was like, "All right, let's do it." And so, I mean, based on what I saw online, I knew that I would love the game, so it wasn't a problem for us.
Hmm.
But yeah, for most people, it's hard to get people to play it with you, I think, because of that reason.
Yeah. And just because if you do get someone into the game, it's gonna take them a lot longer to get their characters up to your level because there isn't really like an experience share system,
Hmm.
So you're gonna have to go if you want to play together, you're gonna have to do the lower level quests with them that only they can
Hmm.
survive in, right?
Yeah, and that I'm okay with, because you could kind of show them the ropes, help them out and stuff.
Right,
But it would really be the best if you could do the campaign together, because then you get to help them throughout the whole process.
right.
And so we're about to run out of time here, Alex. So if you want to hold that thought and then send me an invite, we'll get right back on.
Yep. Sounds good.
All right.
A few moments later.
We should be able to play the campaign together in co-op.
Yes. Yes, that makes a
Yeah.
whole lot of sense. Is that, I mean, that's got to be something that like they could I mean, it's been out for over a year, so I guess, if
Yeah,
they
they're
haven't
done.
done
They're
it
done.
yet, they're not going to, but well, oh well, I guess. Too bad.
Yeah.
I
Um,
bet I bet that would be a sequel thing.
I think so.
If the game did well enough and they create a sequel, I bet they'd allow you to do a co-op campaign. And I would really love for a sequel. I would buy it immediately if it was good, if it got good ratings. But
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Hmm.
No, that makes sense. Dang, I had another question and I felt like it was a pretty good one. Oh, no, I totally remember now. Okay. So, you guys have gotten through the campaign, right? And you've been enjoying the end game, right? Playing together,
mhm.
enjoying that a lot. If first, how much time would you say post the end of the campaign that you guys have been able to spend playing together so far?
You mean like
Wait.
how much time we've spent
Mm-hmm.
together?
Yeah, just playing through the game.
Mm,
Okay. So together, I can math this out.
okay.
We have played 40 hours together.
Really?
Yes, because I have 55 hours
Mm-hmm.
played of the game right now,
Mm-hmm.
and I have only played the game co-op after the story.
Oh, so you haven't done any
I've not played the
solo
game.
stuff
I've not played the game solo.
after you beat
Except
the
after I
campaign.
beat the campaign, except for the things that force you to play it solo, like the unlocking the additional sigil slots and stuff for
Yeah,
each
yeah, yeah.
character. But those I usually just skim right past it
Right. Right.
and then just do the little story thing, and then that takes me like no time at all. So most of my time,
40
which is
hours.
about 40 hours that I've played, has been completely co-op.
Wow.
Okay.
And then I guess this last question I have is looking forward, right? 15 hours for the campaign, 40 hours post that. Do you guys envision, how if you had to guess, how much more time do you guys spend playing this together over the coming months or however long you play it for? How much more time are the two of you going to invest into this experience together?
So I was thinking it'd probably just be in kind of our usual rotation of games and be something that we play every now and then when we kind of get the feeling or get, feel like playing it, which sometimes we feel like playing fighting games, sometimes we like playing Mario Kart. This will just be another game that's like, hey, I'm really itching to play some Granblue Fantasy. Do you want to get online?
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Because like before, it was like every available time we had,
Hmm.
we were just texting each other, be like, okay, let's hop online, play real quick. So like I can understand why the 40 hours stacked up so quickly. But from now on, it'll just be whenever we feel like it, we'll pick it up and play. I wouldn't be surprised if we played every now and then, even like, a few months down the road or something,
Yeah,
depending on
definitely.
whatever. And it'd also be impacted by what other games we're playing at the time too, right?
Hmm.
So, um, yeah, because this guy's trying to get me into Splatoon 3 right now. So,
Oh, is it working?
so if we start playing that one,
Um, I'm really excited to play it with him. I don't know how excited he is to try it.
I just have no idea if I'm gonna like it or not, but I am gonna give it a try. I am gonna give it a fair shot.
I
So,
think, okay, I think if you get a handle on the gyro controls,
yeah.
you'll really like it.
I think I will use the gyro controls because I use that in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, when you're aiming with the bow and arrow,
Okay, so it's similar to that.
I think it'll be pretty second nature to me. But
Yeah.
that's another, that's another thing
Yeah,
on
that's a
the
Fine.
video
side.
for another day.
Yeah, yeah.
Fair enough. Cool. Well, in that case, before, that's those are all the questions that I have. Is there anything else that you guys would like to share with our listeners before we wrap the episode up?
Yeah, I kind of want to just talk about the things that I like that I think this game does really well coming from the games that I've played in the past. The main game that I've played, the main two games that I've played in the past that are kind of like this game, um, Tales of Rise, like I mentioned, but there's a lot of differences there. Um, in terms of the co-op aspect, it's pretty similar to Genshin Impact, actually. Um,
And you played a lot of Genshin
I played a
Impact.
lot of Genshin Impact. I played Genshin for a solid like 2 years straight. So, you know, got a few hundred hours on that sucker. Didn't pay a dime. Totally free to play. Which that's
That's an achievement.
yes. And that's what I like about Genshin Impact actually is that free to play through that game is totally viable. They did a really good job with that. But anyway, um, the thing with Genshin Impact that eventually just wore me out was that, I got the mechanics down. The combat mechanics, it was just it become second nature to me. So playing as those characters, even if new characters came out, I would kind of get bored pretty quickly, because the novelty factor of a new character with different mechanics wears off quite quickly. And you have to deal with the gotcha mechanics,
Mm.
of earning enough of these currencies, so that you can pull enough to get the character that you want and whatnot. Um, but I like the character variety, and I like, a lot of the characters are really cool. You get that in Granblue Fantasy, except it's not gotcha. And you
Mhm.
can pick the character that you want. And there's like a list of characters that you can recruit. And when you hover over each character, it tells you here's their mechanics. And it has like, little video snippets of like them fighting so you can see what their play style is like. It gives a description of each of their main skills and stuff. So it's very consumer friendly in that way. Um, which is to be expected because it's not a free to play game, but it was just a breath of fresh air for me. Um, and with I think with a lot of RPGs, for example, I'm sure you can kind of think of a game where, when you first play the game, you have like your starting weapon, right? There's like weapons you can craft, weapons you can pick up as you go along the campaign and stuff, and you're left wondering, do I want to spend my resources on my starting weapon, or should I be saving stuff for the later weapons? Am I like wasting my time if I do this or that, right? Um, Almost everything in the game, like in terms of upgrading your weapons and characters, there's really no wasted material when you spend your resources and time in those because the upgrades that come with each weapon, they're not tied to the weapon, they're tied to the character and they're permanent. So
Hmm.
even the very first starting weapon, you want to max out every little thing it's got because those are permanent buffs for that character. Um, and there's little things like that that are kind of throughout kind of the skill tree and the mechanics of raising your characters that I really liked because it just gives you more of an incentive to actually, you know, be engaged in the mechanics of the game rather than, you know, trying to like min-max everything and holding off until the very last, second of the campaign or the end game or whatever to like pour your resources into certain things. And there are certain aspects of the game that are like that, like the whole sigil system.
Mhm.
Um, a lot of people online were saying, "Oh, don't worry about the sigil system too much until you get to the end game and stuff." But even if you had, you get so many resources and things from doing these end game quests that it's really no issue. So like you're never really gonna have like I don't know, the closest phrase I can think of is like buyer's remorse, right? By investing time into certain aspects of a character or upgrading weapons and stuff. And I
Yeah.
really like that.
I like the way the skill tree works in that it's not really like a tree where you choose the path that you want to go down. It's literally just like one, you just go down straight pretty much with like little branching pathways that go back into the central pathway. And you can just go all the way down the skill tree and then if you want to pick up all those other skills later. It's not like you're missing out on any skills.
Mm.
And that's true with every single character. There's no, but like he said, buyer's remorse over, oh, I got this skill and then I tried it out and it didn't end up working for me. Now I've got to spend X resource to try to, respec my entire tree and then try out something else. There is nothing like that. It's just you just buy everything and it helps and all it does is boost your character and it's always helpful.
Mm. Hmm.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I really like that aspect of the game. And um also when you when you want to try a new character, because I like to play around with different characters and mechanics and stuff, getting a character like so assuming you're in end game, you recruit a new character, right? All that character looks cool. It's very, very easy to get them up to level 100 and totally up to speed.
Hmm.
Like I can do it in one session. It wouldn't even take me an hour to max out a character to level 100. Um, because like I feel like the amount of materials that you get, like how the game scales, um, as you do these like harder and harder quests, I feel like it's scaled really well so that if you do want to recruit a new character and level them up and stuff, um, it's pretty easy to do that. So I feel like that was balanced pretty well. It's not really a pain.
I agree. It's not
Yeah.
unlocking a new character is doesn't feel like ugh, now I have to grind for materials and then level them up from 0 to 100. It doesn't do it that way. Instead, it takes your max level of your character and of the characters that you play, and then assigns a higher level based on that max level. So if your
Mm.
max, if your average level across your characters is like level 100, you'll unlock them at like 85 or something like that, right?
It actually caps out at 60,
60. Okay.
but even getting character from level 60 to 100 is so easy
Yeah.
because all you do is take him on a few quests with you that are super, super, high difficulty, and then it'll just get a bunch of EXP dumped into it. Or there's like items you can just use
Mhm.
too to get him caught up quickly. So,
Yeah, it's
um,
very easy to get a character leveled up to where you can play them in endgame. It's not
yeah.
it's not a struggle. It's really nice.
And I can't emphasize enough like how cool each character is and the mechanics. They're very, very unique. Every
Yeah.
single one of them is really unique.
They're they're all completely diverse. They all play completely differently. They all have different strategies that you can mix around with and or mess around with. They're all very fun.
And just to illustrate, like if I were to pick up, Jordan's save file and play as his main, I would get destroyed because I would have no idea what I'm doing. Even if I'm fighting the same boss that I fought over and over and over, I have no idea how his character works. And I'm sure it would go the same around.
Oh yeah.
It would be the same thing if you were to try to use, my main character or whatever. So um that really kept things fresh for me to the point that I've dumped 145 hours into
Oh
the
my
game.
gosh.
So I just checked on Steam.
145?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so 40 hours of that was co-op. I've put over 100 hours into it just playing solo myself.
Whoa. Well, there you go. Wow.
It's a great
Yeah,
game. It's
it
great.
it's a great game. I'm not much of a solo kind of like grinder. I don't really like grinding for
Hmm.
materials very much. And so I'm not a big fan of just playing the game by myself, while I watch a TV show or listen to a podcast or like a book or something. and just grind out quests. I'm not that kind of person. I very much like my games to be social,
Mm.
especially a game like this where you have to play multiple missions over and over again in order to get that one material that you need to upgrade your sword or something like that.
Hmm.
Mm.
Hmm.
So, but you're perfectly fine with it.
Yeah, and that's just, because I have that many other resources, for example, all the mastery points you can spend and stuff.
Mhm.
All of my characters I have are 100% maxed out. Um,
Of
because
course.
after grinding so much, you just get so much materials. And then I've got, 3 or 4 main characters that I can use that's like end game viable, I guess you can say, right? Because I've had so many resources to spend on them. But yeah, it's a good time.
Cool. Cool, cool. Jordan, anything else you wanna to add or mention?
Um, no, it's a really unique game. It's really fun. I recommend anyone give it a try if they want a good a good RPG with a really good satisfying combat. Because like he said, every single character plays completely differently, so you can find a play style that suits you.
Hmm. I agree. Um, if you like JRPGs and you like action JRPGs that aren't necessarily turn-based, I would definitely, definitely give this game a try.
Hmm.
It's often on sale, on Steam and other places for like $20.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're not sure, get it on sale. If you're the type of person that likes grinding in MMOs and stuff like that, I would recommend it at full price.
Yeah, I would have been totally happy to pay 60, $70 for this.
Yeah, I definitely got more than what I thought I was going to get out of it. So,
I would give this in terms of rating, um, probably mm, 8.5 out of 10, I'd probably say.
yeah, I was going to
Yeah.
say somewhere around 8.
If we could play the co-op together,
Hmm.
it would skyrocket up to like almost 10 out of 10, like 9.5 maybe.
Yeah, if you could
But we
play the
can't,
if you could
so
play the co-op campaign or a co-op campaign,
yeah.
that would make it the barrier to entry would be so much better, and I could introduce it to so many more friends, and then we could get a party of 4 going, and that would be awesome.
That would be a lot
That
of
would be
fun.
so cool.
Yeah. But it's good, man. Hey, maybe this is what you've wanted Xenoblade to be, but it's not.
You know, I
Maybe.
wasn't gonna say it, but it's
But
neither
joking
here nor
aside,
there.
I do think that Tales of Arise is what you wanted Xenoblade to be.
Tales of Rise is fantastic.
Yeah,
It's
because that's got the story that, you know, that you would
yeah,
expect of a game like that.
yeah. If only I'd brought my PlayStation. If
Oh yeah,
only,
that's right. Yeah,
if
because you only
only.
got your Switch over there.
Yeah, it's sitting at
Yeah, all
home
good,
just
man.
begging to be
All good.
played.
Yeah.
But
How long are you going to
anyway.
be gone for?
I am here for about another month. Um,
Wow.
Liv and I drive home the first or the technically the second weekend of August. It's like the 9th
Hmm,
is when we drive home. So,
cool.
Dang,
but
man.
there you have it, folks. Go play this game. Let us know what you think. As always, we'd like to thank our lovely, lovely, lovely patrons. And I'm actually going to have SJ go ahead and give us that list so that I don't forget anybody.
Yeah, we've got our Down to Earth Cockatiels, Joshua, Matthew, and Tyler. Thank you very much. And then our Down to Earth Parakeets, Jay Maurer, Nicholas, and Noah. Jay Maurer himself sitting right here. Thank you so much for your support.
Of course.
Um, we'll talk to you next time.
We'll see you later.
Adios.